Did you know adults 60 plus lose more than $60 billion each year to financial exploitation? Greenlight's new Family Shield plan empowers you to monitor your accounts for suspicious activity, protect yourself with up to $1 million identity theft coverage, and reassure loved ones that you're safe with location sharing and place alerts. Get peace of mind today at greenlight.com/protect. That's greenlight.com/protect. Did you know adults 60 plus lose more than $60 billion each year to financial exploitation? Greenlight's new Family Shield plan empowers you to monitor your accounts for suspicious activity, protect yourself with up to $1 million identity theft coverage, and reassure loved ones that you're safe with location sharing and place alerts. Get peace of mind today at greenlight.com/protect. That's greenlight.com/protect.
Hello, I'm Sarah, and welcome to the Whispering Woods Reddit and listener story episode. I've got 4 spooky Reddit stories to share today. I'll get straight into them. Are you ready for the first story? My wife and I were haunted at our wedding in New Orleans. I've been an avid reader of this subreddit since 2017. Ever since my first ghost encounter in the Philippines. But that's a story for another time. Given how recent this particular experience was, and the fact that I have some photographic evidence, I figured it would be worth sharing. My wife and I got married in New Orleans on March 7th. As a gift, my sister-in-law covered a 3-night stay for us at Hotel St. Vincent. The context: this hotel was originally an infant asylum before being converted into a boutique hotel in 2021. On the night of Thursday, March the 6th, after our welcome party, my wife and I returned to our room and ordered room service. After eating, we had to separate for the night to follow the tradition of sleeping apart before the wedding. My wife stayed with her family, and there was no way on this earth I was staying alone in that room, given the hotel's history. I knew I'd psych myself out all night, so I crashed in my mum's hotel room since she had an extra bed. The next morning, I went back to our room to get ready for the wedding. I spent most of the morning alone, and the vibes felt fine. At some point, I was scrolling through my camera roll, looking at pictures from the night before, when I noticed that my wife had taken a photo of our room. Something in the reflection of the TV screen caught my eye. I zoomed in, and immediately noped the heck out. I decided I wasn't going to look at that image again until we checked out. Meanwhile, some friends were also staying at the hotel, and one couple in particular ended up changing rooms multiple times. The husband had never believed in ghosts before, but after their experience at Hotel St. Vincent, that changed. They reported seeing handprints, a chandelier moving despite no open windows or AC, and even had the hotel staff cover all the mirrors. Now, back to our wedding night. We returned to our room around 2 a.m, completely exhausted. I didn't experience anything, but my wife later told me that as she was laying in bed, taking off her veil, she heard voices. She didn't mention it to me until after we'd checked out. Despite that, we managed to sleep through the night. though we did have a light on. Then came Saturday, our final night in New Orleans. After saying goodbye to our remaining wedding guests, we got back to our room around 9:30 p.m. As we were getting ready for my bed, my wife suddenly said, "Did you hear that?" The second she said it, I responded, "Yes," and immediately got chills. We both heard a distinct whooshing sound, as if something was moving through the room. My wife kept hearing it throughout the night, while I caught it a few times, but the unease was enough to make me awake. Thankfully, we had to leave at 4:45 a.m. for a quick post-wedding getaway in Miami. And with daylight savings that night, the hours flew by. My wife managed to doze off for a bit, but she later told me that while she was dreaming about the wedding and trying to focus on happy thoughts, disturbing visions kept interrupting her sleep, such as an old picture of a woman in her dreams and a child screaming. I, on the other hand, did not sleep at all. I kept my eyes closed, but the overwhelming feeling of being watched never faded. When my 4:20 a.m. alarm finally went off, I jumped out of bed, ready to get the heck out of there. As I was packing our bags, and my wife was brushing her teeth, I heard a voice behind me. Thinking it was her, I asked, "Did you say something?" She hadn't. That was it. We were out. While waiting in line at the airport, I finally told my wife about the photo I had seen in the TV reflection. I had purposely avoided showing it to her until we left the hotel. When I zoomed in and handed her the phone, she turned pale and said, "I'm going to throw up." A couple of days later, I decided to take another look. This time, I zoomed in on the other side of the image, and I swear I could make out the outline of a child with eyes staring right below the mirror under the lamp. So that's the story. If anyone has experienced anything similar at Hotel St. Vincent, I'd love to hear about it. Much love to this community for reaffirming my beliefs since my first encounter back in the Philippines. Since I can't post images on this post, I submitted this story in Paranormal Encounter with the images. And there's a link that I'll include in the podcast notes in case you want to take a look. New Orleans is one of the places I've always wanted to visit. Ever since when I was in my 20s, I read the Anne Rice books, the witches books and the vampire books, Interview with the Vampire. I thought they were great, and I really, really wanted to go to New Orleans and see all the witches and all the vampires. But how spooky, because apparently so many of the hotels are haunted, from what I can gather anyway, that they've just got there's so much energy going on in New Orleans. I love it. Are you ready for the second story? I think I have a superpower. I never really liked talking about this, but I just woke up terrified from what happened now. Ever since I was a kid, I felt like I have a certain superpower. Whenever I think of someone, even if it's just for a minute, within a short time, that person ends up calling or messaging me, saying I came to their mind, or that they missed me and wanted to talk. When I started suspecting that this was actually happening, I decided to test it. I picked someone who I thought could never possibly reach me. My childhood friend Osama, who I knew in primary school. I hadn't heard from him in over 10 years, maybe more. I didn't even know if he had moved to another country. I had no number, no contact, just his name and a vague memory of his face. I kept thinking about him continuously for a few minutes. Then I went to sleep. Within less than 24 hours, I got a Facebook notification. And guess what? Osama messaged me, saying I came to his mind. He told me he had been searching for me until he found my account. We ended up talking, and I learned he's now living in Turkey, along with a bunch of other details that don't matter here. This kind of thing kept happening in different ways, and I became completely convinced it's real. Even when I want to get to know a certain girl, I just keep thinking about her a lot, and within a short time, she's the one who tries to get to know me. And when we get closer, she tells me she kept thinking about me so much that she just had to meet me to understand why I was on her mind all the time. Today, exactly 30 minutes before writing this, I was sleeping and dreamed of one of my old friends, someone I haven't been in contact with for ages. He was standing in front of me, saying something I couldn't understand. I opened my eyes to the sound of my phone ringing. Someone was calling, and it was him. I didn't answer. I froze. I started feeling scared. I'm not here to flex. I'm genuinely afraid. And I don't understand what this is, or if it's even real, or just an endless series of coincidences. Am I the only one? Now, I really get what the author is saying in this, because I like to think that I've got these superpowers as well. When it happens to me, it's not as predictable. I wish it was, because then I could feel magical. But so it does sound like something's going on, because I would be constantly testing, like, okay, I'm going to do this person now and see if I hear from them. Are you ready for the third story? Has anyone else heard this? The scariest sound I've ever heard. Last night, I was all alone in my room, just about to fall asleep. It was that time of night when everything is super quiet. Suddenly, I heard this crying sound coming from right outside my window. My eyes popped open and my heart started beating so fast. It didn't sound like an animal at first. It sounded just like a little baby crying. And it was so loud and sad. Being alone made it 100 times scarier. I got out of bed and peeked through the curtain, but I couldn't see anything in the dark. The sound went on for a few more minutes, giving me goosebumps. And then it just faded away. I was too scared to go back to sleep for a long time. I know what a normal cat sounds like, but this was different. Have you ever heard a cat cry like a human baby? It's honestly one of the creepiest sounds I've ever heard in my life. I did hear some cats actually. They woke me up the other morning screaming at each other. But there is a difference. Like, I can tell when it's a cat, like an angry cat, or cats fighting. And I think you'd know the difference if it sounded more like a baby. It's like when you hear foxes, their mating calls. You can tell it's a fox's mating call, not a woman screaming. So, I just think maybe something was going on there. Are you ready for the fourth and final story? My neighbour met a lady who never existed. Hi guys. I'm not sure if this is the right subreddit for this story, but if there's a better subreddit I can post this on, please redirect me. This story didn't actually happen to me, but to my neighbour. He told it to me a couple of nights ago, and it's the creepiest story I have ever heard. I thought I might share it here and hear your thoughts. For context, my neighbour lives downstairs in our apartment building. And families frequently have dinners and get-togethers over at their place. I don't want to share any names, so let's call my neighbour Jeff. A couple of nights ago, we were at Jeff's place for lunch when he told us this story, and by the looks of it, it seems true. He genuinely looked creeped out and genuine while telling the story. So let's get to the nitty-gritty. This takes place in early 2004. Jeff was in his late 20s when his daughter was just born. At that time, he didn't have a stable, well-paid job and was struggling. His wife didn't work because she had to take care of their daughter. He worked at the local fruit and veggie market, and he would often do additional jobs so he could make ends meet. He was in a mentally bad place around this time. One night after work, Jeff was especially sad because he couldn't even afford diapers for the baby. He wanted to clear his head and went to a pub to drink a beer before going home. He sat at the table and ordered a beer. There was a person sitting next to Jeff. The stranger saw him and saw how depressed and sad Jeff looked. The stranger asked Jeff what was wrong. Why does he look so down? Jeff explains everything, how poor his family is and how he doesn't have a stable job, that they can't even afford diapers. The stranger laughed and told him, "Don't worry, my friend, you look like a good person. I'm sure things will turn out good for you and your family. I'll give you my phone number, and I want you to call that number. They will find you a good job." The stranger writes the phone number down on a piece of paper, finishes his glass of whiskey, says goodbye to Jeff, and pays for his beer. Jeff doesn't think much of it, but keeps the phone number. After a couple of days, Jeff, still sad and in poverty, decides to call this number. The line picks up and a lady's voice says, "Hello, Jeff. I was expecting your call. Everything will be fine. You will soon find a good job. I want you to come and meet me so we can chat in person." Jeff is creeped out because the strange woman knows his name. The woman tells him the address and says she will be waiting for him soon. Jeff, still in disbelief, hangs up. He told me he felt very uneasy and anxious. The strangest thing is, the address is not even in our city. It's in Schumann, which is about a 50-kilometre drive from where we live. When he goes home that night, he shares everything with his wife, and his wife reassures him to go. Still hesitant, Jeff decides to go. He has nothing to lose. The following Saturday, Jeff drives to Schumann to meet this lady. He stopped and asked for directions for the address she gave, and he finds it. It was a small, regular Bulgarian house, white facade with red roof, one you'd find in most villages across the country. He goes to the door and knocks. A lady opens the door. She looked like she was in her late 50s or early 60s, and she had a rag around her head, like a regular babushka. She immediately says, "Hi Jeff, I'm glad to see you. I'm glad you came." She invites Jeff to come inside and take a seat. Jeff looks around the house, and the house is just one huge room with walls painted white. It had absolutely no furniture except for a desk, 2 chairs and 2 windows. Jeff is very confused how she knew it was him and why the house is essentially empty. He asks her, "Who are you? Why do you know my name? And why do you want to help me?" The strange lady offers him a cup of coffee and says, "Don't worry about me. I know so much about you, Jeff. I know about your daughter, and I know you are struggling. But this won't be for any longer. Starting today, you will find a new, very well-paid job, and you'll be able to provide for your family. You'll even have a second child. I know a good and honest person when I see one." They talk for another 5 minutes, and Jeff says he has to go. She didn't give him any job, no number to call for a job or anything. She just told him he'd soon be well off. Jeff, very confused as to what's going on, even offers her money because he thought she was some kind of fortune teller. Common in rural Bulgaria, every big village or town had a fortune teller. I remember going to see one myself, or a wise woman, as a kid in the late noughties. She denied the money and even got a little offended. Jeff went home and felt very confused and insecure about the whole thing. He thought all of this, besides strange and creepy, was a waste of time. A few weeks, maybe a month or two, pass, and he's still in the same poverty, no progress. One day he bumps into an old classmate from high school on the street. They start talking for a while, and Jeff's classmate tells him that he works on cruises and that they're searching for personnel. He recommends him, and soon after, Jeff starts working on the cruises. An extremely well-paid job, and the rest is history. He still works in the same field over 20 years later. And now the creepiest part of the story. After 1 year on the cruises, he decides to stop by the strange lady and thank her, buy her some gifts, a good champagne, etc. Jeff was convinced she was responsible for his new job, or if anything, at least brought him luck. So he drives to Schumann. Although he still remembers the address perfectly, he couldn't find the house. He stops to ask for directions again, but the locals tell him this address doesn't exist. There's no such street, and there's never been one. He's shocked and in disbelief. He couldn't process this information. 20 years later, he still thinks about that woman and the unexplainable situation he was in. I know some of you probably won't believe this story, but I genuinely think it's real. The way he explained it and his body language told me he was telling the truth. Considering I have a paranormal story myself, when my rolling tobacco just disappeared into thin air at home, I really checked everywhere, even in the trash. Makes me believe this even more. What are your thoughts on this story? Did a similar thing ever happen to any of you? Could this have any plausible explanation? Do you think he is BSing or actually telling the truth? I can't stop thinking about this story for a couple of days.
Did you know adults 60 plus lose more than $60 billion each year to financial exploitation? Greenlight's new Family Shield plan empowers you to monitor your accounts for suspicious activity, protect yourself with up to $1 million identity theft coverage, and reassure loved ones that you're safe with location sharing and place alerts. Get peace of mind today at greenlight.com/protect. That's greenlight.com/protect.
What a great story to have been told. I'd have been sat at the table going, yeah, more. What happened? It's such a great story. Wonder, going off to this place that didn't even exist. That would do my head right in. Well, that's it for me today. I hope you enjoyed, and we'll be back again tomorrow. Take care, everyone.